Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. And today we're diving into the book of Proverbs from the King James Version of the Bible. The King James Version, with its majestic prose, offers a unique lens through which to view these ancient sayings. It's a translation that has profoundly shaped the English language, and encountering Proverbs within its pages is an experience unto itself. We're not just going to skim the surface today, oh no, we're going deep. Think of it as an archaeological dig, but instead of trowels and brushes, we're using curiosity and a willingness to engage with complexity. Stick around to learn some fascinating but lesser-known facts about this ancient text. It's going to be quite the journey, and I'm thrilled to have you along for it. When you think Book of Proverbs, Solomon comes to mind, right? The wise, wealthy king with all the wives and pithy advice. The Bible attributes large sections of Proverbs to him. Proverbs 1 states, the Proverbs of Solomon. But deeper in, you'll find other names. Chapter 30 mentions Agur. Who is Agur? We don't know much. Chapter 31 mentions King Lemuel. Proverbs is an anthology, a collection of wisdom. Multiple contributors enrich its value. Wisdom is a collaborative pursuit, a flowing river, a beautiful complexity, isn't it? The book of Proverbs may seem like a random jumble of sayings, but it has a fascinating structure. It's a compilation of distinct collections, each with its own style. Chapters 1 through 9 serve as an introduction. Chapter 10 marks a shift to Solomon's Proverbs. Later, we find the words of the wise, Agur and Lemuel. This layered structure makes Proverbs a dynamic anthology. So, what's the point of all these sayings, these collections, these carefully structured insights? What was the book of Proverbs in its King James rendering or any other actually trying to achieve? The KJV puts it this way: to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. The primary aim, then, is to impart wisdom. But wisdom in Proverbs is a deeply practical concept. It's about skill in living, about making sound judgments in the complexities of everyday life. Discipline, or instruction as the KJV often translates it, is another key purpose. This isn't just about punishment, though it can include the idea of correction. It's more about moral training, the shaping of character through learning and guidance. Ultimately, the purpose of Proverbs is profoundly relational and communal. The King James Version, with its dignified and often resonant phrasing, conveys this sense of serious purpose, this urgent call to embrace a life ordered by divine wisdom and moral integrity. Proverbs' poetic structure, especially in the King James Version, features parallelism. Parallelism sets lines side by side, echoing or contrasting thoughts. Proverbs 10:1 shows antithetic parallelism. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is his mother's heaviness. Synonymous parallelism repeats ideas, like Proverbs 16:18. Parallelism makes Proverbs memorable and elegant. Now, it's undeniable that the book of Proverbs, like much of the Hebrew Bible, emerges from a patriarchal society. And yet, what I find incredibly striking, especially when reading it through the lens of the King James Version, is the significant and surprisingly nuanced roles that women play within its pages. Perhaps the most prominent female figure is Wisdom herself, personified as a woman, Lady Wisdom. In chapters 1, 8 and 9, she is depicted as a powerful, authoritative figure calling out in public spaces, offering life, understanding and guidance. Contrast Lady Wisdom with her antithesis, often referred to as the strange woman or woman folly. She represents the allure of temptation, deceit and the path that leads to destruction. Then, of course, there's the famous virtuous woman of Proverbs chapter 31, an acrostic poem that closes the book. This passage describes a woman of incredible strength, skill, wisdom and compassion. While Proverbs is certainly a product of its time, the diverse and often powerful portrayals of women within its pages offer a much richer and more complex picture than we might initially assume. One of the things that continually fascinates me about the Bible, and the book of Proverbs is a prime example, is its rootedness in a specific historical and cultural context, while also speaking across time and cultures. Scholars have noted for a long time that certain sections of Proverbs bear a striking resemblance to Egyptian wisdom texts, most famously, the instruction of Amenemope. This Egyptian work contains advice on ethics, honesty, and proper conduct that sounds incredibly similar to what we find in the Hebrew Bible. For example, Amenemope advises, "Do not carry off the boundary of the field, nor shift the position of the measuring cord," which is very close to Proverbs chapter 22, verse 28 in the KJV. "Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set." The ancient world was a place of significant cultural exchange. Ideas, stories, and wisdom traveled along trade routes and through diplomatic contacts. The key isn't so much the origin of a particular saying, but how it's adapted, reinterpreted, and integrated into Israel's unique covenantal faith. The ethical insights are reframed within a theological context that is distinctly Israelite. The King James Version, by translating the text faithfully, allows us to engage with these very sayings that have such fascinating historical connections. If there's one phrase, one concept that acts as the absolute bedrock, the foundational cornerstone of the entire book of Proverbs, it has to be the fear of the Lord. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7 famously declares, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." And then again in Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding." But what exactly does the fear of the Lord mean? It's a phrase that can be easily misunderstood in our modern context. It encompasses a profound respect, a deep sense of veneration, and a commitment to live in accordance with God's character and commands. In Proverbs, this fear of the Lord is intensely practical. It's not an abstract theological concept confined to temple worship. It's something that shapes everyday decisions and actions. The fear of the Lord is presented as the source of life and security. The King James Version, with its consistent and often powerful rendering of this phrase, continually reminds the reader of the central, non-negotiable truth that underpins every piece of counsel offered in this remarkable collection of ancient wisdom. While we've talked about the multiple voices within Proverbs, there's no denying the towering presence of King Solomon. The King James Version clearly marks these sections. For instance, Proverbs chapter 10 verse 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, which kicks off a long series of couplets running through chapter 22 verse 16. The wisdom of Solomon is a major theme in the historical books of the Bible, particularly 1 Kings. The Proverbs attributed to him in this book are largely of a particular type. They are often short, sharp, observational, and intensely practical. Think about the sheer variety within these Solomonic collections. You have proverbs about the power of words, insights into diligence and laziness, reflections on wealth and poverty, justice and injustice, family relationships, and the conduct of kings and commoners alike. The collection that the men of Hezekiah copied out, Proverbs 25 to 29, is particularly interesting because it implies a process of selection and preservation that occurred centuries after Solomon's reign. These Proverbs of Solomon, as presented in the KJV, reflect a worldview where wisdom is not just an intellectual pursuit, but a practical skill for navigating life successfully and righteously under God. They are the distilled essence of a lifetime of observation and reflection, attributed to a king whose wisdom was considered a divine gift for the benefit of his people and, as it turns out, for generations to come. One of the delightful and incredibly effective teaching tools employed throughout the book of Proverbs, and rendered quite vividly in the King James Version, is the use of animal imagery. Perhaps one of the most famous examples is the ant. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 6 to 8, KJV, exhorts, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise." The tiny ant becomes a powerful symbol of diligence, foresight, and self-motivation. Then there's the lion, often used to symbolize strength, majesty, or sometimes danger. Proverbs 28 verse 1 says, "The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion." Many other creatures make appearances. The dog returning to its vomit, Proverbs 26 verse 11, is a rather graphic but undeniably potent image of the foolishness of repeating harmful behaviors. Even seemingly insignificant creatures like the conies, rock badgers, locusts, spiders, and lizards are highlighted in Proverbs 30 for their wisdom in their own ways. This use of animal imagery makes the teachings accessible and relatable. It also makes the lessons more vivid and harder to forget. The King James Version, with its rich and sometimes earthy vocabulary, brings these animal metaphors to life, allowing us to appreciate this ancient yet timeless method of instruction. After exploring the book of Proverbs, we ask, does this ancient wisdom still speak to us today? Yes, its teachings on living a skillful, righteous life resonate profoundly in our modern world. Proverbs speaks to the core of what it means to be human and live well in community. Well, that was quite a journey through the book of Proverbs in the King James Version, wasn't it? We've explored its surprisingly diverse authorship, its intricate literary structures, the profound purpose behind its collection, and the timeless relevance of its teachings. I hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and perhaps encouraged you to pick up this ancient text, whether in the KJV or another translation, and discover its riches for yourself. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to do all the YouTube things like comment and subscribe. And speaking of comments, I'd genuinely love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments which fact surprised you the most. Sharing what resonates with you helps us all learn and grow together. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom, keep asking questions, and as always, don't forget to be awesome. See you next time.